first time.
It's quiet now. They came from the blackness. The Quiet Place is a film that I thought that I was not going to like because I heard the premise about these aliens that hunt by sound. I thought that that sounded so stupid because I feel like there's so many ways that these aliens can be killed and taken down, especially with that kind of a weakness. The fact that they hunt by sound to me is kind of a weakness. Like, this shouldn't be too hard. We've seen the Tremors films and how they figure out how to exploit it, like these creatures that hunt by sound as well. And it's like, have a little remote control car, hook it up with dynamite, they attack it or eat it or whatever, blow it up, boom, end of story right there. Or at least if their skin is too strong or something on the outside for that, they came in on like a comet or a meteor or whatever, so the fire's not going to kill them exactly, an explosion's not going to do it. Well, when they open up their fleshy bits whenever they're trying to hunt anything, so you can again have your remote control car, have a little sniper or somebody ready close by with the shotgun, whatever you want to have there. And when they attack the thing and have their googly stuff all opened up, kaplowy, dead, easy peasy. And then on top of that, they seem to not be able to swim. They drowned. They seem to be able to drown. It just seems like these creatures would be easily killed. And there's a lot of things in this film that I have gripes with ish. And now I'm going to be talking about both 1 and 2 because I watched them both. I'm not going to have a separate video for number 2. I'm going to kind of talk about them both together here. I do have a lot of gripes with these films, but regardless of all of my gripes that I have, these films are still really good. Like, I have a lot of, it's like my suspension of disbelief to a lot of this is a little difficult for me with this. It's like, you're trying to tell me that this meteor crashed and these aliens come out and they hunt by sound and they're attacking all these people and stuff. But another thing I don't really get is, so they seem to not be a very intelligent race. They hunt by sound and they just want to eat people, right? Except for that they don't necessarily eat people. They just kind of shove them down. If you watch, especially in A Quiet Place 2, they show more humans in the film, in this, like either in the flashback or in the present, where there's other people that they find. Like, they just kind of knock people aside and squish them, rather than like, oh, I have food, yeah, I'm gonna eat you. Like, I assume that they would hunt for food, and that any sound they get, oh, lunch. I'm gonna eat you for lunch. That's what you would do. That's what the graboids did in Tremors. That makes sense. It's like, even though it's this monster creature thing, it has a logical, functional purpose, as in what it does is, it hunts to get food. I would assume these creatures have a similar thing, even though they're aliens. But then that goes into a whole technical thing of, well, how does our bodies even digest well with them? Like, how they handle our atmosphere pretty good for some reason. They're durable to a lot of stuff. They can rip through steel like it's paper. There's all these different aspects with it, but then it goes into question, and they also can't swim. It's kind of funny. But regardless of going into some of that stuff, again, this does really fucking good. I mean, let's go to Quiet Place 1 real quick. And the fact that they have a little boy, they have a child get killed in like the first 15 minutes. They have a child get killed. That sets the stakes pretty darn high, because that means other child characters in the film are not necessarily safe. They might kill them. They're not just gonna get out just fine. They're not going to be protected by plot armor. They could be killed. So that already does amp the stakes up a bit for me, that I do enjoy. That it's like, oh shit. Like, when I saw Jaws for the first time, this was kind of recently in the last couple of years, I was like, wait, did they kill that boy's gone? The mom's looking, the kid's dead. What the fuck? Like, okay, kids are not off limits. Yeah, where's this gonna go? And in A Quiet Place 2, like, they don't exactly have a kid straight up get killed in that film, but they have, like, the son gets caught in a bear trap, and it's like, fuck, Oh, it may not be the same type of thing, but I feel like it's in a similar category to where the kids can get injured, the kids can be harmed, the kids can be killed. Shit. So that just amps the stakes in a horror film to me with that. That this hit even though like my space and logic brain of some of the stuff on how the aliens might function, how like the people put the family had all these markers on where to step where it's quiet and where there isn't that much sound and whatever I'm like but how'd you know you had to make the noise to know where the sounds are properly. It just seems like some of the setup isn't, it doesn't make entirely enough sense to me. Why are the aliens always like within a mile from anyone? Like if they've pretty much extinct the most of the planet and they have hunted everything, why don't they just go away? Are they stuck on the planet now? Do they die at some point if they don't eat anything? Have they eaten other animals and stuff? Because if that's the case, and they eradicated the human race that is billions of people on the planet, like it just, I don't know. There's a lot of things that come up. As soon as they make a noise, like they will quickly find their way to you within like a minute. There will be another one here that somehow heard that and is trying to come and eat you. And it's like, how are they that close all the time? You think there'd be, some miles differences between what you're doing. What are the aliens doing when they're not trying to kill you? My head goes to a lot of these things. One of the easiest things I thought, other than like the dynamite, the like have a sound distraction and a gun ready to go. Even without that, I thought, well, high frequency noises or high pitched things might be enough to either kill them or make them stay away. In Tremors, at least in Tremors the series anyway, they said there's too much noise, so if you make enough noise or at a high enough frequency, it's going to drive the graboid away. He's gonna go away because it's too loud. Their hearing is so sensitive that that noise is not it's not food. It doesn't sound like food, and it's not appealing. So it's going to go the opposite direction of that and go look for food somewhere else because the noise is that unbearable. So it's like if you could have this frequency noise that they show really disturbs the aliens here with that, you could essentially make a society with that. And they end up kind of doing that at the end of A Quiet Place Part 2. So I'm glad that, the idea isn't lost there. But that also feeds to me the militaries could have kind of easily defeated these things, at some point because there would have been enough time. There was newspapers that showed to stay quiet and that they were aware. So there was businesses still around while the aliens were attacking, and they were learning about the aliens. And there were some civilizations around and some military still around, and they could have. I feel like they could have easily taken out the aliens. But again, that's just me. But I'm also curious if it was just literally one meteor that hit and was just on one continent. Was it just in America that it hit and that the rest of the world is fine? Because if it was just one thing there and they can't swim, I could see there could be some potential for boats, but I don't know about that. And if there's aliens on a boat and another country could figure that out, I mean, you got airplanes and missiles and boom, they're dead. Especially the fact that we have helicopters and jets. I feel like these aliens are fucked anyway. They have no technology to fight with. So what? They're fucked in so many fucking ways. These aliens are fucked. Is how I kind of see it. But regardless, what they do really, really, really well in The Quiet Place 1 and 2 is their human moments as people. Like you can, even if some of it, again, I've already went through the issues. Even if there's issues, they portray it in a believable enough way. I feel like most people will believe this well enough. They are barefoot when they can. They take so many precautions to try to make it as believable as possible. Enough. Like to me, I think that they could have gone even further with it to set up this scenario, but that goes deeper into like making the lore of it and everything. As far as making a horror film in general, and as far as they knew maybe a one-shot type of thing or whatever, I thought that they did pretty good here. Like, going to the pharmacy, they're trying to be really quiet, take the batteries out of the toy, take they have sand in some areas, so they make even less noise when they walk on there compared to grass or leaves or whatever. They try to, they have sign language, which That was actually good. Lucky that their daughter is deaf because I thought, okay, like if they ooh, I was gonna say if they're just a random family that learned sign language, I don't get how they'd learn it in time necessarily. Or if they were a full-on deaf family, I don't know how they'd survive here exactly because they how much noise they make without knowing they're making noise. But yeah, their daughter's hard of hearing, so the family learns sign language. That is very common. I took sign language course in high school. I know what I'm talking about here. And so that was believable enough. And they seem to be able to somewhat live a decent-ish life by themselves, and they have precautions for when an alien comes through, and there's light warnings that they have, and they have firework distractions later to work with it. So they have the mom's pregnant, they're ready to have a baby. They made up a little baby box coffin thing where it can muffle the noises of the baby and keep it okay still, because it's going to be loud baby and everything. And so there was so much thought into this and whatnot that I still appreciate it. Again, even if it doesn't fit my needs specifically for my suspension of disbelief, it does really well enough. And the dad, the guy who plays him, he's the guy from The Office. Everybody always says, and he played as Mr. Fantastic in the last movie. I'm digging his beard look. This guy, I think that's why. Like I saw him as the guy in The Office. Well, okay, it's all right, but him with this beard look, and he's only been in a couple films that I've seen. I want to see more of this guy. His acting is really good, and that's another thing that's impressive. There's a lot of the kids that are in the films right here are in Quiet Place 1 and 2. It's really impressive to have them act as well as they do without even that much dialogue. They're having to express a lot of it, and you have to be, people that speak with sign language are usually very expressive, regardless. So that they did that pretty well here. I think they could maybe be a little bit better, but considering I haven't seen this kind of thing done very often in films, this was done really well. And I didn't hate the kids. The kids are in this a lot, and they did just fine. This was great. And like, there's a lot of concerns that you would have normally. Just the mom steps on a nail. That was probably the most horrific part of A Quiet Place 1. Like, the mom steps on a nail. Oh, oh, good. It's like that could happen to you. The aliens might not be able to get you, but the nails do. Oh, Jesus. She steps on it. She's about to have her baby. She has to be as quiet as possible. The aliens are around. Oh, 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 the nail part was like the give me the heebie-jeebies, man. Oh man, that was the most horrific thing in the entire film. Seriously, like the kid that got killed at the beginning, that was a little bad. Oh, the step on the nail, fuck me. No, 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 no. But yeah, after watching A Quiet Place 1 and 2, I very much would love to see A Quiet Place Part 3. I could see there being a whole franchise with this if they keep on doing it well like this. From what I haven't seen The Walking Dead, but from what I hear about it, it's not really as much about the zombies that walk around and they're scary. It's like it's post-apocalyptic. There are a lot of different civilizations of humans that have formed over this amount of time that are separated. They've all pretty much figured out how to deal with the walkers. They're a problem on the planet, but it's like one of the fewer problems that you'd have to worry about. Like, oh, there's going to be a bad storm. It could create a problem with the walkers, but for the most part, it's there's these different human societies and how you interact and what choices you make as you're trying to go forward as you build humanity up from this post-apocalyptic event. And you're trying to go forward with this, or like the other human societies are kind of a threat. And I feel like The Quiet Place could do that in a way, because they kind of portray that in this, where they have the deaf girl and the old friend. They go to the boats, and there's this like society here that are like ready to trap people. And from what it looked like, they're willing to. It just seemed like they were going to take the equipment that they had and stuff, the supplies, sure, but then it seemed like they were going to take the deaf girl to potentially breed with later, because she's almost of age, I would assume. She's like, she looked between like 11 and 14 ish. And it seemed like a bunch of men, and they have a child girl with them as well, and then this other girl's here. It seemed like they were going to take her for freaking breeding, and like, that's no, 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 no. And the place that they're trying to get to, because they heard the deaf girl heard the signal, or saw the signal thing, and they said they're playing the same song, and that it's like telling them where to go. And so they end up going there. They're able to escape this and go to this little oasis, little island place that does not have the aliens right now. And they're like, okay, sweet. This society is actually welcoming. They seem very welcoming. They're having a barbecue. They're having a fire. They're laughing. They're having fun. And it's like, wow, you're able to just be yourselves out here. And in an episode of The Walking Dead, my friend told me this anyway, spoilers, that there's like a cannibal people that set up a similar thing like this. And oh, it's great here, it's great. And then, it's you either become a cannibal with us or we eat you. And it's like, it's thinking of that type of society scenario. I could see that with the Quiet Place world, where like the aliens themselves don't necessarily become that much of the issue. Like you have to consider how you do your structures, having the frequency thing ready to send them off, or having whatever means of defense that you have to deal with these things ready, and how you do your life to be a little bit more quiet, or to isolate yourself, and whatever it is you're trying to do to normalize your own society here. You go underground. I don't know specifically. You go underwater. You could have society underwater, underground, whatever. You can do all these different things. The aliens just becoming like a dressing to this world, and it's the other societies, the other people that you could interact with that become more of the actual problem, and just the aliens are a side note of the problem, essentially. That would be kind of interesting to see this series go in that kind of direction, but I don't know if they actually will, because it sounded like they were going to have, again, what a friend told me is that this was going to be a part of the Cloverfield universe, but then they decided not to. They'll just make it their own little thing, their own little pocket thing here. And yeah, you could do a lot with this little pocket, and this would be interesting to see what they do going forward anyway. But that's my thoughts on it. This was great. I loved Quiet Place 1 and 2. I'll see you guys later.